All right, folks, so for the first time in recent years, the opposition People's National Party has found itself with a notable lead, I'm told, over the governing Jamaica Labour Party, according to the latest Don Anderson opinion poll. Joining us this morning to share his perspective on this recent poll is political commentator Jermaine Barrett. Good morning. Welcome to Smile. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Neville, good morning to you. Good morning to your viewers. Fantastic
to have you with us as always, friend. I think it's constitutionally due in 2025. Before we get into all the other things, how important is a poll, period, whether they're leading or not, at this time with another year to go?
Well, a poll is a fairly decent assessment of the trends and the likelihood of voter intentions at a particular time. And so, a poll is not exact. A poll is not a precise demonstration of how people will vote at the big poll, the elections, but it gives an indication, and it also helps political parties to sort of tune their machinery, to rev it up, to intensify their activities, and ultimately to get the votes coming in ultimately for their team or for their side.
All right. What should we take from these results, Jermaine? Do you feel like the local government results would have also, I guess, motivated some of the decision making in this poll?
Well, I think so. Whenever a party suffers a loss, be it at a local government or even at general elections, there's a sense that the diehard, the ones who are in favor of that political party, feel a sense of defeat, and it's like, oh, my party not doing well, and so it doesn't give them a sense of motivation and inspiration to go out and vote and to even recruit other voters to their cause. And so I think that's largely what is happening in terms of the Jamaica Labour Party. They've suffered a loss, an electoral loss. However we want to cut and carve it, it has been an electoral loss at the local government elections, while the PNP, they are really riding high. And, we're seeing that coming out in these latest polls.
Why voter apathy, Jermaine? And I don't think it's anything new, because as far as I can remember, we've never really had more than 30-something% going out to vote anyway. But why? I mean, why we're not getting 50%? Why we're not getting 70% of people who going out and says, no, man, I want this and I want that? Why? Why? They don't trust the politicians? What? The politicians not offering me anything that I can say, yeah, but why?
It's a combination of two things, really, Neville. It's a combination of the fact that, Jamaicans are demanding more of their political leaders. We live in a globalized context, in a globalized village. Our neighbors to the north, we're peering in on them all the time and seeing how it is that, their citizens are gaining a lot more, and we're not gaining as much. We're still struggling in terms of infrastructure and education and crime and all of these things. And even though more developed countries have their difficulties, economically they're doing better off. And it's a sense that we're jealous of the good life. And that's particularly the concern amongst young persons. They're just not getting enough, and that is something that is turning them off. And what they are getting a lot of are just contentions and conflicts within the political dynamic. So you're hearing allegations about corruption and malfeasance and all sorts of issues that are, causing you to be, turning farther away from engaging with politics. So I think those are the two major factors that are leading to the high rates of non-participation in politics at this time.
Well, non-participation in terms of voting, but boy, Jermaine, is social media alight with political debate. Do you find that that's one of the things that drives the decision making? Because I feel like, yes, you have the diehards, but you also have a large number of persons that will swing from one side to the other depending on whether they like what is happening at the moment. Do you think social media has also added to that?
Absolutely, and I think the political parties are caught flat-footed with respect to how it is that they communicate in this new media called social media. So we're not in the era anymore where the non-committed are going to be coming out to political rallies and getting revved up and excited. It is a generation of persons who are just not willing to make that added effort to go out and to engage in a physical sense. But it's easy for you to grab your device, swipe, read, and ultimately, tweet. That's the generation in which we live. And I think it's a struggle for both political parties, actually, to engage that audience sufficiently to inspire them and to encourage them to make that step, to make that sacrifice even to go to the polls and to vote.
Since you started that, Jermaine, if you had the ear of both leaders, what would you tell them? If one of the leaders called you this morning and said, well, I want to win the election, Jermaine, how I must win this election? Let's start with the incumbent. What would you tell him?
So for the incumbent, I think that what they're doing is generally good, pressing the government in terms of talking about the things that are really resonating with the people. The fact that, people are finding the macroscopic elements of their lives not being attended to, the microscopic elements of their lives not being attended to with any sufficient degree of responsiveness. People aren't having their roads fixed. Inflation is still a major thing that is eating out of the capacity of their earnings to really deliver real results for them. I think the administration recognizes that. So I think the opposition is gaining ground in terms of making Jamaicans realize that, one, their lives are hard, and ultimately what they need now to do is to promote to Jamaicans a narrative that says, yes, we know your lives are hard, but we can deliver a better life for you. I think that we're not getting enough of that. I think we started to get that more coming out of the budget debates in terms of the suggestions from Mark Golding and so forth. So I think we need a lot more of that, more than the negativity, but more of the positive, results that will come from a People's National Party government. And from the JLP, I think they need to do a lot more in terms of promoting the good things that they have done, because the administration, like them or not, they have done a tremendous amount over the last almost 2 terms now to deliver results at the macroscopic levels. But I think what a lot of what they've been speaking about are the macroscopic indicators, the big economic indicators. They now need to be speaking a lot more about how it is that in tangible, meaningful ways they're making impact in people's lives.
Interesting. So you think, because I started by asking the question, we're still about a year away. I'm not certain exactly which month it will be called. I know it's 2025. But you think, but you think the poll now is important to what might happen then?
I think so. I think that the Jamaica Labour Party was quite complacent heading into the last local government elections. I think that they are frightened now at what the indications are pointing to. I hope that the sentiment that I'm getting, for example, from Everett Warmington and to a lesser extent the Information Minister, are not indicative of what the position is of the party, which is to say, well, these polls are not really credible. This is not a credible indication as to people's voting preferences. And I think that they should really take stock and take reality or take cognizance of what the trends are, and really rev up the messaging and promote more the activities of the government, and do a lot more contrasting. It's not about negative politics, it's about establishing themselves as being contrasting to the People's National Party, so that people will say, yeah, man, I can see that you are a government deserving of a 3rd term.
Yeah. My final question is, how do you see polls like this influencing voter decision making? Do people see these polls and say, oh, well, the poll is leaning in favor of this party, maybe that's where I should be looking in terms of my vote as well?
Absolutely. Polls are incredibly important and impactful in terms of influencing voter decisions. And so what it does, for example, for persons who are committed to the Jamaica Labour Party, it's really a statement that causes them not to become very inspired and enthusiastic about going and casting their X beside the bell. On the part of the People's National Party, their voters are now inspired and encouraged, that there's a sort of renewed enthusiasm about that party, and you're seeing it manifested in social media, the conversations there. People are saying, boy, the comrades are out and about and are strong and are really, really prolific in terms of their messaging. And so that does a lot. In terms of the undecided voter, I think that if the JLP doesn't pay keen attention and rev up its machinery, you're going to find that more of the undecided voters are going to say, well, I'm going to cast my vote in favor of the winning team, as is indicated here by the polls.
Amazing, Jermaine. Always great to speak with you. Very, very, very well explained. I'm impressed with you, sir. Have a great day. God bless you and your family, sir. And thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All the best.
Yeah, man. Political commentator, Jermaine Barrett. By the way, the survey, which was commissioned by the PNP, has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%, and a total of 1,057 persons participated. I've always thought, and I could be wrong, that it really depends on who you ask. I don't know how it's done. Don't get me wrong. I'm not certain how it's done, but what if you went into a PNP area?
Yeah.
You will get answers.
I think in terms of the survey making, they would have taken those things into consideration to try to make it as credible as possible.
And Don Anderson has been brilliant with this, and I think most of the times, if not all the time, he gets it right. We're going to move on. Coming up next, stand up, speak out, protect the rights of our children. We discuss that after the break. Stay with us, please. Soon come.